Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2018 science fiction action movie Incoming that stars Scott Adkins, who is known primarily for making these martial arts type B-movie things, and he's made a few appearances in bigger movies like Expendables 2 and things like that. And this film focuses on there is the space station just above Earth is now housing criminals, terrorists in particular, and it is a particular bunch of terrorists. I think there's about 5 or 6 of them, something called the Wolf Pack, I don't know, and it's this international renowned bunch of terrorists that have been causing chaos on Earth for years, and they get caught and transported up to the space station where the Geneva Convention does not exist, and they are essentially tortured for 5 years to try and find out where the leader of this terrorist group is. And that's the premise, the beginning of the movie. And then we see there is a space shuttle heading up to the space station, and it's got Scott Adkins in there. There's a female doctor and the person who's flying the space shuttle. They land on the space station. It's only manned by one person who essentially is the torturer. He tortures these criminals, and it's like an inspection. This woman's been brought up to see how the prisoners are doing and to report back her findings, and she's horrified to find that these terrorists are being tortured in such a brutal way, and she doesn't like it at all, to the point where she makes a stupid move and all the prisoners end up escaping. And then it is a fight for survival. Everyone's got to try and stay alive. These dangerous terrorists are on the loose. And when they realise they are up in space, these terrorists, they hatch a plan to create the ultimate bomb and drop it on Moscow. All in the while, this group of heroes, led by Scott Adkins, need to save the day. So that's it. That's your movie. That's your premise here. Okay. Now, this is a straight to DVD release, so straight off the bat it doesn't have the production value of a bigger release, a cinema release, but saying that, the effects are passable here, nothing special, but make no mistake, this is a reasonably low budget movie, so there's nothing in it going to blow you away. From the effects to the cast to the writing, the whole 9 yards, none of this is outstanding, but it's watchable. However, I found the whole thing a little bit dull, if I'm honest, full of unlikable characters on both sides, and by that I mean the terrorists and the other side, the supposed good guys. The character that Scott Adkins plays is deeply unlikable, and it kind of makes sense later on in the movie, and I won't spoil it, but for 95% of the movie, it's just awful. It's nothing to like about his character. I didn't like it anyway. The female doctor who is sent up there to examine the terrorist continually makes stupid judgments, and the thing that she does that ends up leading to the terrorist getting released, it's so stupid, and it gets you so angry. And because she's so naive, you just end up not having an awful lot of respect for her character either. It's a bad move. And the guy flying the shuttle is just there. He's a nothing character, really. There's nobody here to root for, really, in this movie, unfortunately. So it makes it harder to enjoy. The guy playing the leader of the terrorists up on the space station does a decent enough job. He's fairly sinister. And when the action what action they give you when it does happen is reasonably well choreographed. It's a mixture of essentially hand-to-hand stuff, and they've got to make do with the weapons that they can muster, because there's very little weapons on this space station other than a few like cattle prod type things. And Scott Adkins obviously is well known for his martial arts skills and things like that, so he does a decent enough job in all the fight scenes that you see. But because of the nature of this movie and the lack of characters and scope, it feels a little bit enclosed, this movie. It feels a little bit there's not much to it, in a sense of, because of the confined space that they're in, it doesn't offer anything else. It does offer, it shows a couple of scenes on Earth where, you know, there's people like pulling their hair out about what's going on, but again, it just feels on such small scale. It's just a couple of actors talking down on Earth. You don't get the sense of scale that this film is, I suppose, trying to aim for. It just feels enclosed, but the threat felt so minimal to me. I never felt like there was any real threat from the terrorists or whatever they were planning or hatching when they escaped. I just didn't feel any sense of dread or threat from them too much, really. There's quite a lot of cheesy dialogue in this movie, but it's reasonably well made. I can't say it's a bad movie. It's just one of those movies you'll put on and watch, and you'll just kind of dismiss once it's finished. You won't remember, you won't, I don't imagine you'll have any strong feelings towards liking it or disliking it. It's just, well, completely in the middle of the road is this movie. So yeah, unfortunately guys, it's a bit by the numbers, this movie. Very middle of the road. Nothing about it to make you sing its praises too much, but it's not an offensively bad movie or anything. So if you like, I was just about to say if you like sci-fi movies, but it doesn't even feel really like a sci-fi movie. It's just, they could have set this on an oil rig or you know, on an underground base somewhere, or you know, on whatever. They could have set this premise and been a bit more creative with the writing anywhere they wanted, but they chose to set it in space, which doesn't really add anything to the movie in regards to the sci-fi element. I feel they could have maybe done a little bit more with it. So yeah, I'll give this a 5.5 out of 10, guys. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie. It's right there in the middle, and there is some stuff here for you to enjoy if you like a good action movie, and that's what we have here, a fairly watchable, decent action movie, but nothing more, unfortunately. So check it out if you would like to, guys. So thank you very much for watching.